Reaching all the way back to 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition. Here is your host of Fate Radio, Kat Hobson.
Good evening. Welcome to Fate Mag Radio, the online voice of Fate magazine. I'm so glad that y'all are here. You know, it's been a really busy time in the world of the anomalous, right? We have had all kinds of UFO information coming out. We've had whistleblowers and all kinds of programs coming through. And we are going to be addressing that because, you know what, I was at Contact in the Desert when it was leaving, when the announcement was in the headlines about this whistleblower and craft and pilots. So I am really looking forward to having a conversation with someone I've interviewed in the past who is a pilot. So I think that'll be awesome. Y'all can just hang in there. We're going to get that one put out. But tonight I am having the chance to talk with one of my very favorite people. She is Teal Gray. She is just a wonderful author. She writes all kinds of fantastic things. A little scary. I don't read those, as y'all all know well. But, you know, she has been someone I have looked up to for a very long time. She is, she's some of the books she's written have included, you know, Haunted Hill House, Darkness Resides in Texas, Shades of Angels, Scared Senseless, and Reading the Unwritten. She does not often, you know, just come right out and say that she is a psychic, but she is so gifted in so many ways. And she is who I call, along with my friend Jennifer Malik, if there's something going on in my home or around me that I don't understand and may not be entirely certain how I want to fix. So she is a great resource for all kinds of things. She is bringing back her show, Pura Mysteries, and that is going to be coming on. And we are bringing it onto WBHM Digital Broadcasting. But you know what? She is here tonight on the Unexplained KUNX-DB network. And I am so excited, Teal, to have you here on Fate Mag Radio on the X. Thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you for such a wonderful introduction. You are just an amazing person yourself. So when I get such a great intro from somebody like you, then it's extra special. So thank you so much. My pleasure.
Oh, you know what I think of you. And, you know,
me too.
You're really, I mean, you genuinely are all the things that I said. It's not like I was making anything up. And
your check's in the mail. But no, I so appreciate that. I really do. And it's so interesting because you and I are very similar in so many ways. The more we've gotten to know each other through the years, the more we're like, oh my gosh, this is just the same, you know? And you've had a lot of interesting experiences yourself. And I think of you as a great resource as well. You know, there's not a lot of people that you can pick up the phone and talk about anything from what just walked through your house or,
True.
You know, extraterrestrial situations. It's, you know, not everybody's on that list.
Can you imagine if they were some of the things that we would get into?
Oh, my goodness.
Well, you know, it is really helpful because, you know, I've had things show up here. You've had things show up there. And, you know, my experience with extraterrestrials and I know that your property is home to a lot of different things.
It is. And, you know, it sounds, if you weren't with the right audience, this would be a very crazy conversation. But the audience we have has had so many experiences themselves that they're like, oh, yeah, no, got that. Yeah, check. Oh, yeah, I've seen that. Check. But I do have apparently a quite ancient elemental that is in the back acreage of my property. And there's different spirits that are in the back house than there are from the front house of the property. Mm-hmm. So it's got a really unique, different qualities to it. And you just never know. And so people that come, to visit, and if they're not believers when they arrive, and I am totally supportive of that, because I am a skeptical believer. Like, my first thought, if there's a noise, I don't think, oh, it's Aunt Tilly. I think, oh, is someone breaking in my house? Is that a raccoon? What is that? I go and investigate it, because I do think that about 99% of anything can be explained. It's the 1% that should keep everybody up at night, because that 1% is, it's a page turner. So, it's just people come away from this property with a lot of experiences, but I got to say, some of them certainly are terrified. But even the ones that are terrified, once they kind of get past the scare factor that sometimes happens, they are comforted in some ways about realizing or having a little more affirmation that life does go on after this, that it's not just lights out.
Well, there's a lot of people that aren't happy when it's, not just done. But I think that the majority of people are thrilled to know that there's something else coming. Mm-hmm. I mean, mm-hmm. I am. I would hate to not be knowing that I was going to get to have things go on later. And, it's just really a big deal, I think.
So, I agree. But it's as if, I think we spoke about this the other day. It's like always a continuing education in every aspect, because there's always something new to learn. And just when you think you have a grasp of something else now is to be learned in that same realm. And I actually love that. I want to be a lifelong learner. But there's so many, I just like with Shades of Angels, there's so many shades and layers to any topic that you want to speak on, whether that be paranormal, anything in the spiritual realm, because it's not just one way. It's not just one answer, one and done. There's implications sometimes. There's, so many things that could affect the answer or what's going on. And it just is like you go through one rabbit hole and then another, and you pop up and like, oh my gosh. So it never tires and never gets old.
Well, it doesn't. And, it's, sometimes I'd like for things to be a little slower. I think I would. And then when it comes down to it, I don't mind it.
You're so great.
I'm a great big chicken. But not really, because, I used to be really concerned sometimes about the things that I came across. Mm-hmm. And I have found, really, it's not something that's frightening or dangerous as a rule. I have had, that one exception that proves the rule. We all mm-hmm. do. Mm-hmm. But if you're lucky, it's one. But I think that with the things that we talk about, I had somebody with ill intent that I came across, and that was the reason for my experience. Mm-hmm. And, but I'm very shielded and protected, and by faith as well as intent. And you are too. Mm-hmm. And how do you explain to people how to achieve that?
Well, I would say that it's actually goes on the list of ongoing ever changing, because it depends on what's coming against you, or what you, whether purposefully or unexpectedly come across. And I want to just back up for 1 second and say that your instinct, your gut feeling, was to be a little nervous about something, a little scared about something. I would so rather that happen with somebody than the bravado to just bulldoze through something and have no idea, because they generally don't know all of what could happen, not just to them, but what dabbling in things could bring back home attached to them, to their family, their pets, things like this. So I would much rather anybody, if they're feeling at the least bit cautious about something, to pay attention to that, because that's your higher self. For people who aren't religious in the fact of believing God, I do. Went to seminary, and which is an odd mix for somebody like me.
No, it's not.
But I would so much rather whatever you want to call the higher power, whatever you seek out as comfort or protection, then I would so much rather that than you not. So if something gives you pause, don't slough it off, and don't feel silly about it. Don't be like, well, everybody else is just fine with this. It may well be fine, but there's so many things, as we know, that you think it's just a simple ghost hunt, but you don't know perhaps that other people have been conjuring up even created entities or demonic entities, or who knows, and it's maybe a very scary situation happening, and that's just your body's way of getting your attention so that you can make a rational decision and participate, or say, I think I'm out of this one. And that's all okay. I mean, that's something that you learn as you grow up, to take care of yourself, take care of not just your physical self, but your soul. And that's one thing I know we're going to talk about later in the show. There's so many questions that pop up about the soul. And gosh, that's a big subject. We have, synthetic embryos that just this week were successfully created. And while these did not have a brain and a heart, I guarantee you, just like with the days of cloning and Dolly, the sheep was a hot topic.
Well, wasn't it though?
News,
Well, nobody talks about it.
Nobody talks about it. And in fact, you were just by where Dolly was created in Scotland.
I was. And, it looks just like any average, business building there. I mean, everything is so beautiful and historic there, but it's in Roslyn. And, I was just kind of blown away that, well, there's this place and this is where they did that. And I wonder what else they have in there. Yeah. Well, what happens if I go and knock on the door?
Right. But, and, the thing is, Roslyn Chapel right down the way. It's a really interesting situation when you pull back a bit and look at it from, the perspective of ley lines and energy. And we're all energy. This is that not everybody has to agree with me, but it's fairly scientifically backed up. We're just energy. And, our energy, the body, yes, we're using this body to maneuver. But when we die, our life source, our energy goes on, is my belief. And, so it doesn't end, because energy cannot be destroyed. It just changes form. And one way I like to help people understand the possibility of life continuing, or even bringing up the subject of reincarnation, is to think of, water. And if you have a glass of water and you boil that water, it's going to create steam. And at 212 degrees, steam becomes a power that can, move a locomotive, right? It's very powerful. Well, if you trap that steam, it's in another form. It's no longer what you're used to taking a sip of. It's gone on into another form, a more misty, cloudy form, depending on its temperature. But if you had a bowl, let's say, any kind of dome thing, anything that could trap that as it tops out and capture it, you're going to capture these little droplets of what's once your glass of water. And, if that was frozen or something, it becomes ice. It's another form of the water, but yet it's the same thing. It's gone on to be several other forms from its original state, but it is still from that same original source, and that has helped people kind of get a grip of that, because they think, well, it's gone and gone where? It doesn't really matter. I mean, that's a whole nother big conversation as to where it goes. And, some people have stories that they have, for one reason or another, died for a certain amount of time and are brought back. And the experiences are wildly different for people. There are a lot of people who say absolutely nothing happened. It was black and just what I thought it would be. Nothing, nothing, darkness, blackness. Nobody came to me. There was no light. There was nothing. You have other people who have this beautiful tunnel experience going towards the light, seeing their loved ones, being told, oh, it's not your time yet. You have more work to do. You have some that are in a tormented, fiery hell situation that you would think of any movie that you see. Mm-hmm. Yes. It's different.
I want that one.
No.
Not even.
No, we don't. But, so your experience, and I have to say, people don't really like that. They're like, no, you have to believe one or the other. Well, I don't. I think it's all possible. I don't think anybody knows what actually happens. We're not going to. And I think for a lot of different reasons, we're not meant to exactly know until we're there, because it's going to be a different experience for everybody. Some people will go and, they will reincarnate. Some people, if you don't believe in reincarnation, that's fine. Maybe, you go and you don't reincarnate, but the general belief is that the soul keeps leveling up. You reach a plateau, you go to the next level. You reach that, you go to the next level until you perfect your soul, until you've reached this heightened state. And people are like, well, then what if I can't keep getting reincarnated? Well, then you're a teacher. Then you're somebody's guardian, and you guide them. And there's just all these aspects of teaching, healing, everything in a different form of what is available on Earth.
I agree with that.
And some people are really tormented and have these very tragic deaths, and they don't, from my experience and being connected with the other side, they do not immediately move through things as somebody who passed naturally or, something less traumatic. They generally have to have this cocooning time of different, angels, people, guides, all the different components, and there's many, kind of cocooning them, healing them, helping them get to a point to where they can rationally, move forward. And they can, I do think, I'm not Catholic. I've gone, I have family members that were Catholic, so I've gone to Catholic churches since I was young. I've gone to every kind of church, synagogue, everything you can imagine. I do think that I do believe in purgatory. I do. I believe that just because, and somebody's like, well, why? You're not Catholic. Why do you think that? Just because the explanation of what it's like, and some of the souls I've come in contact, they were not in one place or the other yet. they were at a bit of a holding station. And some, it was to heal them, to even get to the point where they could have a life review. Some people are so hysterical, and just rightfully so, they can't even rationally go through a life review. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, a life review.
Okay, I'm gonna interrupt you, because the life review is a big deal.
Yeah,
and we have to go for a break, and I don't want people to be betwixt and between on this. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and take our first break, and everybody come right back, because this is going to be so interesting. Teal is a great teacher because she's a great thinker. So enjoy. Come right back to us.
Prediabetes is serious and more common than most people realize. 1 in 3 American adults has prediabetes, and more than 80% don't know they have it. Prediabetes is a serious medical condition that puts you at high risk for type 2 diabetes. But now, North Carolina residents with prediabetes can enroll in a free or low-cost national diabetes prevention program. Get started now at joinaprogram.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Jean Walker's book, Family Secrets, takes the reader on a journey through Jean's childhood and throughout her adult life as she navigates through fairies, gnomes, the Joplin spook light, paranormal events, extraterrestrial visits, and abductions, where she was actually shown her own hybrid child. See more about Jean Walker and her book Family Secrets at www.unxmedia.com. That's unxmedia.com. Buy Family Secrets at Amazon.com.
What's up, Saucerheads? This is Ryan Sprague, host of Somewhere in the Skies, where each week we bring you the latest UFO news, featuring interviews with some of today's leading UFO researchers. We also take a look back at fascinating UFO cases of the past. And we feature a series called Witness Accounts, where you tell your UFO stories. Every week is truly something different, so be sure to check us out every Wednesday at 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the UNX Network. And remember, keep your feet on the ground, but never stop searching somewhere in the skies.
I want to thank all of you for listening to The X. But did you know you can watch live streaming video and catch your favorite video casts on the UNX Network YouTube channel?
Wow, you mean I can watch the X shows anytime?
That's right. Watch any show anytime, even binge watch your favorite programs.
Which shows are on the UNX Network YouTube channel?
You can watch Most Haunted with Dan Terry, Entity Voices, Paranormal Evidence, Paranormally Blonde, and Unexplained Phenomena Australia, and many more. Also, be sure and catch live coverage of special events and special broadcasts from the UNX Network.
That's great. I'm going to subscribe to the UNX Network channel right now.
Awesome. You can find everything you need to know about the YouTube channel at unxnetwork.com. That's unxnetwork.com. It's your one-stop shop for everything unexplained. It's the new mainstream. It's the UNX Network.
Get the X's streams on TalkStream Live, Paranormal.radio, and TuneIn. Bringing you the best host on the biggest network, The X.
Welcome back to Fate Mag Radio, the online voice of Fate Magazine. I'm Kat Hobson, your host, and my guest is Teal Gray. And we have been having a great discussion already. We have touched on all kinds of things, and you're just going to have to go back and listen. But no worries, because you can hear us anywhere that you get your streaming. We're there. So, Teal, I stopped you as we started talking about a soul review, and I agree that I think people who may not be familiar with that, because not everybody is churched and that is taught, but, it's a good thing for people to know about.
It is, and I really hope people can put aside the religion, verbiage, because really what we're talking about tonight on all these subjects, yes, I can bring it into biblical terms, but I'm actually speaking from just a general broad view across any line without any religious implications. This is just what happens. I don't care if you're, satanic, Wiccan. I don't care if you're, believe in anything. Or nothing, an atheist, anything. You're still going to have a life review. And it's just something that happens when you pass. And what it is that once you pass, and we can touch on a little more of this if you want to, Kat, or not. Once you're to where you have clarity of mind and can have this life review, some people think of it as like, oh gosh, there's spirits that don't want to be crossed over that I have to talk to and say, listen, there's no judgment in the light. Go on and go, because they're so afraid of what they've done in life about the judgment when you go to the other side. Now, having a life review is pleasant or not according to how you live your life. And that's got nothing to do with your religion. You can be very religious. You can sit on the front pew every week and have a terrible, inner life and the way you treat people.
That is very
true. That does not do anything for you. God, Jesus, higher power, whatever you want to look at, that is looking at you, your actions. And it comes across to me, and something I always remember, somebody said, and I wish I could quote them, but it's been an old saying for so many years, that people won't remember everything you said, but they will remember how you made them feel.
Every time.
And because sometimes something happens and so many years pass and you're like, I don't know exactly all that I said or they said, but oh gosh, that hurt my soul. That hurt me so bad, or vice versa. I don't remember everything, but that was the most beautiful moment of my life. Right.
Yes.
So that is the essence of a life review or a soul review. It's just verbiage. It's all the same thing. So when you're in a state that is, that you can understand what's happening, you will be surrounded by everyone who loves you most, who's been supportive of you before you ever just take this ride with me, before you ever chose how your life was going to be and came and were birthed into this earth realm. And you might not recognize them if you saw them now, but once you're on the other side, you've known them. They're your tribe, so to speak. They're your,
absolutely your tribe.
Yeah. And they'll be there. Of course, there's angels. Of course, there's guides. There's healers. There's everything. Whatever you need, because just, everybody's an individual, just like our fingerprints are individual. So is your soul. So is what you need. So no person's experience, even if you're raised in the same household, your experiences are different.
Without a doubt.
There's just no way that anything's just like a, plug and play. So it's very individualistic. But what happens is from times you might not even be able to remember, as far back as you go, you will switch places, so to speak, with everyone you've interacted with in your entire existence in this life. So everyone you've loved and had a great experience with, you will sort of switch that body, so to speak, and whatever you said to them, whatever you did to them, you not only hear it recanted with, perfect recall, but you feel what they felt as well. You feel that warmth of love or tenderness or something, because the life review also has moments where you interacted with someone and there was no verbiage, there was no speech, just actions or just time together. And so you can have these beautiful, wonderful feelings without words, but you will hear the words. And also, you're going to hear words that hurt you. But the difference will be you're so protected, and it's so different once you cross over. It doesn't have the same sting. You understand it in a different way, that this is we're all just having this big classroom, so to speak. And we're all...
Well, it's exactly that. But I'm going to interject here, because I think that so many people I personally have enough for about 6 or 7 people. Cringeworthy moments, things that you're like, oh God, please don't let anybody ever know that I said that to so-and-so, or that I was so wrong, or, and we all have those.
Yeah.
And it used to terrify me. Okay. Because I was taught that everybody is going to be able to see your soul review, and that wasn't what they see your whatever. And I was like, no, no, I don't want people to see that. I'm just not going to ever die, which is not realistic. But as I matured, right, and we realized that everybody has their moment, and everybody has their turn with their moment, and I don't think the things that used to be like oh my God, I can't ever let anything like this happen. I don't ever want to see this again or think about it. You're gonna, but as you say, you're in a different place. This is a different experience than what you have humanly as you're living, because you know what? If it's a cringeworthy moment for you, you deserve that cringe. Moment. Yeah, that's what you're learning.
You're going to see it in a way where it's like you're still not going to be like, oh, I'm proud of that moment. You're still, but it's done with understanding of like, but look how you grew from that point. Look how you changed, and you have enough in you to understand that it wasn't right. So that's a big step right there. It's just everything's done with love.
And that, I think, is the difference, because, I do believe that we're created beings. I do believe that we have a relationship with the designer of the universe. And, because somebody made that first spark. Everything came from somewhere.
No, I believe the same.
And, to me. And nothing forms in a void without some help. And that's science. So, to me, that's science. Yeah. And, I think that whatever your belief system, there's this moment in just about everything. And like you said, it's not something to fear. It's not something to like I used to be, just like, oh, dear heavens, the whole world is going to see this. Yikes. Well, as long as you are learning as you're going along, there's nothing There's no single person that has this all right all the way.
No.
So it's not something just to be horrified by. It's just oh, dear God, I can't believe that.
There is no perfect.
What can I take?
No human is perfect. None. I'm sorry, but none. And there's going to be some people listening going, well, I don't know. I think I'm pretty close. Well,
pretty close, but not even a little bit here.
But no, because if you judge anybody, well, that's a sin. So even if you're judging the conversation, well, say that's a sin. And they say all sins are equal, so, that's as bad as, you pushed Aunt Tilly down the stairs. I mean, it's really hard sometimes when this is new to you, for some people, about the spirituality of the soul, to grasp that, because you're like, oh, certainly not. I do this, and this, but that is not equal to that, and that. But biblically speaking, spiritually speaking, it is, because they're not looking for the deepest or the most shallow wound.
There's not a degree.
A wound is a wound, It's and you're not judged the way, just like we were speaking about. It's done in a loving situation, and it's not to punish you. It's to show, because the whole point of being in this game, so to speak, is the progression of your soul. And we're going to talk more about the soul. But I just wanted people to have a little understanding about, the parameter of it. And it's done with love. You're growing. Nobody's perfect. Nobody expects you to be perfect. And so it's okay. So then once you get past that and are healed from that, and also it helps us heal from people that we thought wronged us terribly, when in fact we misunderstood it, or we didn't understand the depths of their issues, maybe mentally, maybe emotionally, maybe, something that was a disease, of the mind, or habits, bad habits. It could be so many things. And then you understand, oh yeah, they were horrible to me, or I had a horrible childhood, or I had a terrible marriage or something. But then you understand the issues where they were coming from was not some perfect, beautiful person that, we blindly sometimes, love is blind until it's not.
Until it's not. That's another side of this, because, not everyone has a worst case scenario in their life, but, my mother married one.
Mm-hmm.
And it truly was. And, my sister suffered more than I did, because I was older by a good bit and could get out. And, so she is really quite damaged and does not, I don't know her mind, but that happens a lot. Children are the most vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And
children and animals.
Yeah. And, it's just really hard. Well, they're kind of the same thing. They gamble about like puppies, and, the same innocence is there.
Oh, they're at everybody's mercy. They're just not.
Yes, because they cannot care for themselves. Yeah. So, it really is something that I personally had to struggle with. I don't know that our family will ever, it's just she and I now. But it's just kind of one of those things that you go, well, it's hard to be the person that says, yeah, I'm going to have to find a way to forgive that, because I'm going to run into them in another, I don't know what my role is going to be in the next, go round.
Well, I would say to you what I've said to clients when in sessions, and they've had, everything from mild to unbelievable things happen to them. And I would say, you're never going to get the sorries that you deserve.
Well, nobody does, I don't think.
Yeah, no. And
you have to learn to
I have to
care
say,
for yourself,
sorry doesn't fix anything. Sorry's a politism that fixes and changes nothing. It doesn't take away the sting of the words or the hurt of the fist. I mean, whatever it was, sorry, even if it's heartfelt, is really more for the person who is
instigated it
than the person. I mean, it's a nice, polite thing.
It's like, well, I apologize. Why aren't they over it?
Exactly. They don't want to hear any more about it. And they're like, look, that's, or they give you the whatever. At this point, oh my gosh. Oh, yeah. Whatever. And that's just also telling you, well, that apology was not real. So you're never getting the sorries that you deserve. However, I'm telling you, if you start to look at the life review, there's sometimes that I would think, oh man, but now I think, you just wait, you're going to get that life review, because I don't think some people are really in tune enough. They're quite oblivious to other people's feelings because they're so self-absorbed, and they just think everything that is needed or necessary for them, or what makes them happy, or whatever, and anybody else is an afterthought. Even some very thoughtful people, if you really get down to it, nobody's completely great. So, it's just something that is going to happen. But the life review helps you move forward, helps heal, so that you can forgive, because over there you understand where everybody was coming from, and everything that affected them to make them possibly lash out physically, verbally.
We only have a few minutes before we get a break, but we have an interesting question. Mm-hmm. And could a soul review be a faction of the Akashic Records?
Yes. Yes, I was going to talk about the Akashic Records. Let me just
we can grab that when we come back. But yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say the Akashic Records quickly is as if we talked about college. So let's just imagine that you go to this university, then it's just this brilliant white. Generally, it's these brilliant white columns that just go on forever, and these rooms are just so vast. And every question you've ever had is answerable. Every wonderment of your life just then and lives past, future, everything is there, and everything is in those records. Everything about you, everything about anybody, the world, what was that conspiracy? Everything is there for the having. And there's some people that are very gifted at going to the Akashic Records and retrieving and helping people get in touch with their answers. But yes, I think it's all tied in, just because it's all information, and it's also the Akashic Records can be very healing, because it's letting you, finally put an end to the puzzle of, why did this happen to me? What is going on? There's an answer. So it is part of that. It is. And I think, in my own mind, I've always felt like those big halls of the Akashic Records were part of where the life review happens, because everything is even in those sessions is all part of your file, if you will, it's all there. And great question. Never had that one come up, really. I've taught about it, but it's, that's a great, very intuitive question.
Well, that was our friend Victoria. So she is good with that.
Yes.
But, I am, who's great at Akashic Records? Mark Elliott Fultz is great at Akashic Records, because he treats it just like, let me go look through this. Oh, yeah. And I'm like, dude.
He's taken that as part of his life's learning. It really, because it's not something done quickly and easily. Mm-hmm. It's a very deep thing, but it's not without ability to be reached by anybody by any means, but to understand the subtleties, the layers, and the different things. It's great to have somebody. It's just like going on a trip. Right? If you're going somewhere you've never been, some exotic place, you don't speak the language, you want the best tour guide, that speaks your language to help you assimilate to where you're going. And that's what that is.
Yes.
And that's what it does.
I've had an Akashic reading by someone at a consciousness event, and it was mind blowing. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was.
And there's things they couldn't know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
It's not something that you can say, oh, they have these different scripts. No, I'm not saying, listen, I'm the first one to tell you psychics or anything else. I think probably just like anything that's paranormal, 1% of them are real. Everybody else might be well-intentioned, but there is not that many true psychics. There's people that can read your cards. There's people that can, help guide you here or there. But, you really have to be careful with who you turn the openness of your life force, your soul over to and let them inside, because not everybody is well-meaning. And, and sometimes they aren't trying to be ill-meaning, but maybe they're just don't protect, I think you have to be very protective of the space before you read somebody or you do mediumship. I'm very, very careful of clearing the space and putting a protection around myself and whoever is the session. Because you're, just like that little light inside you, that little flashlight, you're getting the attention of things that you had no idea were around.
Everything.
And they're looking at you. Hey, I didn't see them before. So you have to be very protected in that, or something that you went to for help or guidance can actually be very detrimental.
Had that experience. I think a lot of people may have and didn't realize it too.
I don't think they have any idea.
And, we're sounding like, this isn't bad or scary or anything. It's just taking care of yourself. Like you would check out a doctor before you went, or a specialist before you went to talk about a surgery. This is not something that's a big brouhaha kind of a thing.
No, it's not a big taboo. It's nothing to be scared of. I'm just saying we're just, talking on a higher level of, protection and things that people can get in just because they don't know. And we at least want to give them the education of it.
Yes. And, if that's what you choose to do, don't just go up to anybody.
No, stranger danger. To
the extreme.
But I think everybody should find out. I'm a curious cat, boy. You know that.
I do know that.
I want to know. I'm a snoop. I want to know everything anybody can possibly tell me about anything. Thank you. So, but it's just, you got to be careful. That's all. Every time.
So, we have got a few more minutes before we go to break.
Okay.
But I do want to reiterate something here, because I feel like maybe I sounded like that. I think that things can be scary, things can be whatever, but there's a thing, and not everybody thinks this, and that's fine. I think that there is a group of people that you kind of go through time with. And some people call it your soul tribe. Basically, it's your soul family. And, I feel like that you kind of take different roles at different times. And it depends on what someone needs to get out of
everybody has different strengths. So you're playing to the strengths. Yeah.
Yeah. And, even though people that you are around are dipsticks or mean or just a general horse's ass, it's okay, because you kind of agreed to take that trip. I feel. And people have such a hard time because they're like, what are you talking about? I would never have chosen to have this happen. Well,
but you did.
That's the
higher purpose. I got to tell you, the people who go through the hardest lessons in this life, and also the people who sometimes do the worst things, they took a role that was very difficult on, to help evolve not just themselves, but all those around them, to learn from that, to empathize with that, to grow from that. So that's a thing.
And and that's okay. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to accept that. Nobody's going to make you. Nobody's going to force that down your throat. I am certainly the last person to give anybody advice on anything of that nature. Yeah. But, it'll blow your mind if you start paying attention. And it blew mine because I was like, you are kidding me. There is no way in hell that I chose these people. And I did find, and I found, believe it or not, I found it when my parents were crossing because I was there when both of my parents were crossing, and it was so much, with all of the gobbledygook that had gone on before, it was so much love and so much care and concern. And sometimes I'm a bonehead and do stupid things, but at the time, I just couldn't believe that my parents were actually crossing. My dad went first, and he was married to, somebody that was just perfect for him. And it was it was such an emotional thing for that person who is not an emotional being in day-to-day living. And so that was a life lesson for me, that even sometimes the strong,
that's their protection, not to show emotion. It's their protection from a story we don't know,
Yeah. And so everybody has a role to play. Right. And this one, this soul lost her soulmate, and it was the most devastating, but the most beautiful thing to see that love. And I was just like, oh my God. And, when my mother died, I was her person.
Yeah.
I wasn't supposed to be on paper and anything, but I was her person. And it blew me away because I didn't think it was really going to happen then, So, and it happened in less than a minute after she realized that, it's okay if that's what you need to do. And it was just kind of like okay.
Yeah. And when you're there, it's so, it's an extraordinary experience, to say the least.
Well,
and it's that moment between them being here and then they're gone, And
it's that fast.
Oh, yeah.
It is that fast. My dad's caregiver came in and said, your dad just passed. He can hear you talk to him.
Yeah.
And, I was just like, okay,
Yeah. And even though they cross, there's the belief, and has shown itself many times, and not just to me, a lot of people, this is the thing, that usually for, on an average of at least 3 days, some people it's 3 weeks, but usually it's a few days until their funeral or something, they're still around, they're protected, they have people with them, they're surrounded, and they're trying to comfort them and make them understand this transition. But they can still hear you. And, and they'll try, their best to let you know that they're okay. But it's hard to maneuver that energy that quick. So, it's a really interesting time. But
but we have got to go to break.
Okay.
And we will be back. And thank y'all so much for listening. I know some of this stuff is like really deep, and some of it might sound like. We're gonna have more
fun later, though. We're gonna hop on the ET train and everything else. Yeah.
So y'all come on back. We will too, and we will see you on the flip side here on the X.
Medical Mary has the highest quality CBD products to enhance your health and wellness goals. Our cutting-edge formulas are not only made with the best ingredients, but also are curated to target specific needs for the body. Use CBD for energy, weight management, pain and stress relief, beauty, sleep quality, pets, and more. Our motto is people helping people. Start your journey into improved health and happiness with Medical Mary CBD. Available at medwoman.medicalmarypartners.com. That's medwoman.medicalmarypartners.com. Or visit my website, margiek.com, for a link. I use Medical Mary and I love it, and it works. I sleep better and feel better thanks to Medical Mary CBD. Visit margiek.com for more information.
Whoa. The moment my son saw a redwood tree.
It's huge!
Is the moment I knew that for him,
you can't even see the top of that thing.
Even the sky has no limit.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. Your moment is out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Race Hobbs here for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm Air Purifier. Eliminate odors caused by mold and mildew, bacteria, and viruses in your home with the Eden Pure Thunderstorm Air Purifier. The Thunderstorm doesn't mask or cover up bad smells. It eliminates them. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm uses oxy technology that naturally sends out O3 molecules that seek out and destroy odors. The Thunderstorm is small and it fits in the palm of your hand. So you can put one in your basement, your bedroom, your home gym or family room, kitchen, or anywhere you want to keep clean, fresh air. It even includes a USB cord for your car, truck, or motorhome. And right now, save $200 on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. That's 3 units for under $200. So go to EdenPureDeals.com right now. Use discount code X3 to save $200. That's EdenPureDeals.com and use promo code X and the number 3, and shipping is free.
Hi, I'm Lee Spiegel, host of Edge of Reality Radio, broadcast every Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the UNX network. Each week, we bring the most credible interviews live to research and report on the often overlapping worlds of science and unexplained phenomena. Edge of Reality Radio with me, Lee Spiegel, Thursday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on the UNX network.
Do you have an interest in the paranormal? Then you'll love the UnXNetwork.com. The X is your streaming audio and video for everything supernatural, strange, and mysterious, like UFOs, Bigfoot, ghosts, and so much more. From hosts like Clyde Lewis, Whitley Strieber, Micah Hanks, and Christina Gomez. Visit the UnXNetwork.com show page for a complete list of all the paranormal programs you'll find on the X. Be sure to follow us on Twitter for updates at KUNXDB. Follow our Facebook group, UNX Network. Find the podcast on Spotify, iHeart, Audible, and Apple Podcast. It's time. It's new. It's the X.
Welcome back for the second hour of Fate Mag Radio, the online voice of Fate Magazine. I am Kat Hobson, your host, and I have to tell you that I am having the best time with my guest, Teal Gray. We are just talking about a little bit of everything and nothing we anticipated. So I love when that happens until it happens to us often.
I think sometimes, though, it happens for a reason. Somebody
It's
listening
organic.
really needed to know it, needed to hear it, or maybe a few people needed this or that. And I think it's still a great basis for what we're going to jump off into, which is the big realm of all sorts. But if you don't mind, I'd like you to share something a little personal as we wrap this up about, what happens when you cross over, as we spoke about before we went down a couple of rabbit holes. What doesn't, but that is a truth, and that's okay. Not everybody has that same experience, and that's the whole point of the conversation we've been having, that you're unique. Everybody is unique and special. And I don't care if you don't believe in a higher power, you don't believe in God or anything else, you're still special, and you're here for a reason. Even if you think that can't be possible, it's so true, or you wouldn't exist. There's plenty of other people in line who want to be here. There's plenty of people who didn't wake up, today, who would trade places with you. You're here, and you're still here because for somebody or something or a world, cog in the cosmos, you're needed, you're necessary, and you're important. And so everybody needs to know that, because you're not going to hear that always, and you're not always going to get the love and respect you deserve. But just know that you are on a higher realm, loved and respected, and listen to. You just don't know it. You just have no idea how many people in the room with you. So, and that's probably good. Everybody sleeps better. But I just wanted to kind of wrap up this whole life review and life and death situation before we start talking about extraterrestrials and cloning and, the soul's purpose.
All the bizarre.
All the things. Some people I've known that have had NDEs, as they're called, near-death experiences, had, things that they could hear, that they saw, that sort of proved even to the doctors that, they knew what was going on, even though they were at that moment or for moments or minutes clinically dead. And some people, as we said before, went to a fiery hell or close to it, more of a purgatory. They weren't really anywhere, they couldn't quite figure out where the scale was going to tip. Some people, beautiful heaven, paradise. Some people, absolute nothingness. And so I want to turn this over, if we can, to you, Kat, to let people know about your near-death experience and what, in this case, you didn't see.
Well, it's really weird because I don't talk about this.
I know you don't, so I appreciate it.
And it's, I had a placenta abruptio, and I was not to term, and thank God it happened when it did, because I was like 10 minutes from being alone in the house with 2 small children. And I thought my water broke, which would have been scary enough at that point, but it was a hemorrhage. And I was 40 minutes from any hospital that could help me, really, but got to the little hospital on top of this mountain that serviced they had a small ER that didn't do anything major except stabilize and get you somewhere else. So I'm just sitting there going, well, okay, this can't be a good thing. But the ambulance guy was very nice, and I'm sitting there looking at him like, can you deliver a baby if you have to? And he was like, I'm not delivering anything here. This is not me. We're getting you to where somebody can help you. And I remember saying, is my husband behind us? And he was. So got to the hospital. They thought that everything was slowing down until I got in the elevator, and then it all started again. They were taking me to emergency surgery, and I was going outside the OR, and I was like, where's my husband? And he wasn't there. He was up with his mom. So I was just like, okay. So when I don't remember being taken into the emergency room, but I remember seeing my doctor once I got in there. And I was just like, okay. And he was like, we're going to do what we can here. Just hang loose. And I'm like, well, I have a choice, and so that was the last thing I remember was him telling me to hang loose. But everybody, not just him, because I knew that he was wet because it was like 4 a.m, but, everybody that I hadn't seen before, everybody had wet hair. The pediatrician had their child with them. And, and I thought that was so strange. There was a child in my operating room and, all this stuff that was going on, but then there wasn't anything. And I was like, whoa, I must have passed out. I was just like clueless because I wasn't even anticipating anything like this happening. And when I woke up, I was in a room with all kinds of blood things, in my arm, and 2 sister-in-laws that looked at me, and one said, wow, I've never seen anybody that was paler than their sheets. Oh, and wow. I'm like, it's nice to see you too. Which, that wasn't what I said. And I was just like, what happened? And nobody knew because nobody was with me, And my doctor came through and he was like, I'm so glad you're here. And I'm like, why am I here? Why are you shocked? He was like, well, you really shouldn't be here. And I'm glad you are because you weren't. And I was just like, and I really have not told anybody that he said that ever. But he was just kind of like, we lost you. And I'm like, well, no wonder I saw everybody. Wait, what? I didn't go anywhere. Where was all the stuff? Where was the tunnel? Where was the whoosh? Where was the light? Where was the warmth, the being that's supposed to be, that you hear about? Well, none of that happened. I just saw the people that were taking care of me. And I don't know if I was just so locked into the body, I don't know.
Well, I was about to say, in my take of it, I feel that you had to stay so close to your body at that time that you didn't have that far off experience.
Why would I have? I mean, was I conscious enough to know that if I left, I wouldn't come back?
I think that's partly true. And also you may have been a bit protective for your body and everything at that situation.
Well, it wasn't just my body at that time.
That's right. So super protective. And in that space where you were, there are a lot of disembodied entities. So I think you were hyper protective of that it wasn't just you in that body, and you weren't going anywhere to take a chance on anybody walking in.
I didn't know that was an option.
It happens. It does. We're going to talk about that a little bit later.
Okay. Well, I am, and just so people know, she is not a bossy pants. She understands that I love to learn and that I think y'all do too. She is one of the greatest resources for this kind of information that I've ever come across. And she's going to be blushing. And when she starts talking again, she's going to all shucks me, but it's true. So, that's why I love this conversation. I hope y'all are too, because it's a very important one to have. You never know when it's going to be your turn to wonder why you're still there or why you're not.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I hadn't thought about the disembodied people that are floating around places like that.
And I just think, you're so protective. You're such a wonderful human, and you're so great with your family and everything and your children and stuff. I just think I just don't think you were going to go anywhere. You were just like, no.
Well, it was, I wasn't always a great parent, and I wasn't always a great human. Everybody has their shift. But it was I feel like it was a decision, but I was tripping out because they were in such a hurry. Nobody dried their hair. The woman couldn't drop her child off with someone. I mean, it was just like
all hands on deck.
Yeah, it was so wild. And I guess until I saw that, I didn't really realize how serious it was.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'm seeing this, I'm like, I wonder if I'm dead. I wonder if I'm going to make this, I mean, there were just.
Yeah, it's so incredible.
Everybody's so freaked out.
Something to come through. Sure. Yeah. I mean, and you can imagine just with your situation, and thank you for sharing that, because I just think somebody needed to know that experience also happened, and that have gone through things. So while I know that's hard, I just think it's wonderful that you did.
I mean, I've never even told my ex-husband that.
Yeah.
So, because he was not the person that I could.
Yeah.
So that was something that really, messed him up too.
Oh gosh, of course, but while you had that sort, like you said, you didn't have that same experience. That was still a major situation in your life. And, they say, I'm not saying yours was one of these, but this is just bringing up another rabbit hole. They say commonly, in the spiritual world, that we come into this world with 3 points of exit. Like if it gets, too much at a certain point in time, then there's an exit. There's a time when you could go, and like go. I want to go. I think I've been through two, but I don't want to go. I don't ever want to die. I just want to stay here. I don't care what the earth turns into. I love it. I'm such an earthbound, and I know that's for someone like me to say, but I don't want to die. So it's, that's just one of the things, but there's just so much to know, so many things to, think about. And, life is so tenuous, it's just, you just don't know, you only know the moment by moment that you're anywhere, really. I mean, we have to make plans and move forward in our life, and hope that we get to have all those come to fruition, but you just never know, because like you said, you had no expectation of anything happening that day.
No. Even when I went to bed, I mean, we had gone swimming, and, I just had one cramp, and I thought, oh, probably moved wrong.
Yeah.
So it was completely unexpected, but I think anybody that gets into that scenario is not expecting it.
No.
I mean, so do you feel like you get 3 shots to check out if you want to?
I think that they come in way, that's, and that's something I was taught, from the time I was, young and learning all these things. And through the years, I've met other people, and they're like, oh yeah, everybody's got 3 points of exit. And I think that's interesting, because then it made me curious, and it's like, have there been times when you were so ill, or you were so this or that, and you could have slipped away, or some situation where it could have been an exit, but some people, this is just, like I said, something people have taught me, but it's been a long time saying that people believe. And then if you kind of put it like to people, you ask them, like, did you ever feel like you had times that you were almost past or something, and you could have or not, or if you had any kind of a sway in it? And a lot of people do. A lot of people are like, yeah, I think I had one. Or some people are like, yeah, I think I've used all mine up, or whatever. It depends, but it's sort of interesting to me. And I don't know, it always made me think, I wonder if you believe it, that we, sort of get with our tribes and decide who's going to be what in this upcoming life. What are you going to be, male or female? What are you going to go through? And it's easier to say over there, of course I can go through that. No, it's going to be horrible, but I got it. You guys are all with me. It's a different setting than when you get here and you don't know the guys that you were with, right? It's a different situation. So I don't know if those are built in, like, okay, but we're going to build in a few things. So if it's too much, you can tap out. But who can say if any of this is true? This could all just be nonsense, right? But it's just common knowledge nonsense in this realm that we're talking about.
Well, we only have a couple of minutes before we get a break, but we have another question, and it's, oh no, I've had 2 points where I could have exited. Does that mean I only have one left?
I think, if you want to go with that realm, then they would have one natural, some occurrence where they have a tap out if they felt they had to. Mm-hmm. That's just what, I don't make the rules. It's just what they taught me.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I
think I've had two. I can't, I really do. I think I'm on my last one too.
That's really interesting. I interviewed a friend who told me that he had, that his parents had lived to a certain age, so he felt like he had a good 6 years left. And he died the following Tuesday, or I found out that he had died the following Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
And so I have another friend who always says, well, I'm going to, when I die, I'm like, stop it. Just stop it, because I don't allow that conversation around me. Mm-hmm. And, I just really think that, I think that you shouldn't tempt things.
No.
I think that you should alone. And, I felt funny when he had said that.
Yeah.
But he was a complete science guy, right?
Yeah.
And so that wasn't somebody.
He wasn't tempting anything. Yeah.
No, he was just commenting that, well, they lived that long. I think I will too. And, which was ironic because he was having to cut his appearance on the show that night a little short. I brought somebody in for the second hour because he wasn't feeling well and had a procedure the next day. And he made that comment during the show, and I'm like, no, I don't like that. Don't do that again. Yeah. And, so I didn't know when I told him goodnight when he left that was my last time to talk to him. You never know. So always be ready.
And you certainly don't want to get all caught up. We're talking a lot about life reviews and this and stuff. None of this is meant to bring anybody down or bring a judgment or anything. The whole thing is to just realize there is no judgment, and anything horrible is understood, and forgiven, if you will. But it is, kind of let you realize life is precious. You never know how much you have left. And, just always kind of live it as clearly as you can. That's not easy.
Live the life that you want to have. Yeah. And sometimes when people are getting in the way.
Finances, health, different things, it's like, I would love to live my best life, but this, and that's
it's still your best life.
But just do the best you can till it gets better is all you can do.
And with that, we are going to be going to break. We will be right back, and we will be talking ETs and all the fun stuff too. So y'all come back with us and keep those questions coming, because they're good ones. And we will revisit it. If somebody has a question, just ask. See you on the flip side, and thank you for listening to us here on KUNX.
listening to the UNX Network. KUNX-DB, Kansas City, Missouri.
Are you thinking about purchasing a wood-fired heating or cooking appliance but don't know where to start? The new book, Wood-Fired Heating and Cooking, will guide you through the process and make the decision much easier. Find out about wood stoves, wood-burning fireplace inserts, masonry heaters, cook stoves, brick ovens, and more. Learn about operation and maintenance, buying and storing wood, even how to make your own charcoal. A bonus section includes delicious recipes for cooking in a wood-burning oven, grill, tandoori oven, or smoker. The wise homeowner, prepper, or homesteader will have the ability to heat their home with wood when the power goes out or to save money on increasing gas bills. Wood-fired heating and cooking is available at Amazon. Visit www.woodfiredpub.com for more information. That's woodfiredpub.com.
Hey there, ex-streamers. Ray Sobbs here to tell you how you could tune in to your favorite paranormal programming without using all of your mobile data in the process. When you're on the road and you want to log into the X, save your mobile data and never miss a minute of the UNX Network programming by calling the X line at 667-930-9331. No smartphone app or internet needed. Save it to your contacts and dial hands-free. And there's no extra cost to you if you have unlimited minutes. So you can listen to the X at any time on any phone, anywhere. Check it out at 667-930-9331. That's 667-930-9331. It's brought to you by your friends at the Paranormal.radio and the UNXNetwork.com.
Every 2 seconds, someone needs blood. Whether it's a natural disaster or one single child suffering from illness, the American Red Cross stands ready to supply blood when it's most needed. But blood is a perishable product. Therefore, it must continuously be replenished. You can safely donate blood every 56 days. The need is constant and patients are waiting. Call your American Red Cross at 1-800-GIVE-LIFE to schedule your life-saving appointment. Please give blood today. Patients are depending on you.
Are you ready to read about true paranormal events? UNX Media publishes nonfiction books about UFOs, ghosts and haunted places, time anomalies, cryptid creatures, and more. Just like KUNX-DB Radio, it's all about unexplained phenomena. Visit www.unxmedia.com to see our list of great book titles by Debbie Ziegelmeyer, Gene Walker, Devin Listrom, Wayne Lawrence, Bill Spicer, and yours truly, Margie Kay. That's unxmedia.com.
Hey folks, this is Derek Hayes, host of Monsters Among Us podcast, and I'm here to invite you to check out the program every Saturday night at 11 p.m. Eastern, right here on the X. Each week, Monsters Among Us highlights real accounts of ghosts, aerial anomalies, strange occurrences, and cryptic creatures, straight from the mouths of the witnesses themselves. So grab a snack or a beverage, switch off the lights and lock the doors, then tune in for some paranormal terror. Catch Monsters Among Us every Saturday night at 11 p.m. Eastern with me, Derek Hayes, right here on the UNXNetwork.com.
We are the contact for alternative research topics. The X.
Welcome back for the final segment here on Fate Mag Radio, the online voice of Fate Magazine. I am Kat Hobson, your host, with my fantabulous guest, Teal Gray. Teal, I have been having the best time with you. I am so appreciative of you sharing your knowledge of things that I don't really, always understand. I love that you're just so free with your information and easy to talk to about it. And it's not just because we're friends. You were that way with me before we were friends. So thank you.
Well, thank you for having me on, and thank you to everybody for sharing your time with us. We appreciate it, and I hope you get something out of it. It's almost, sometimes I feel like we go down these rabbit trails, and it's like lots of lessons, but we're going to have some fun chat now, aren't we?
We are, because it's something that is really going on, and this is like sci-fi but real life, and I love that, but some of it's freaky as all get out.
Well, sure. Yeah. I mean, and anybody, I always say this, if anybody's not just a shade of freaked out, then they haven't had the full experience yet. Just wait. because sometimes people, I've had this or that, or I've talked to this, I think it was a demon, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, if you're brushing it off as no big deal, then you actually haven't met one yet. Just wait. It's quite exciting.
Because they are dramatic, and you will know.
You'll know. And honestly, even good angels, they're a little scary sometimes, because they're big, and they're, gosh, it's a lot, so, but you'll know the difference. You'll know the difference. It's all good. But now, Kat, I got to tell you, I don't know too many people who have had more, at least sightings and stuff, than with extraterrestrials than you on your back porch.
This is true. But, I think people do. They probably have more than I do, but not everybody is as open to it. And I mean, I'm not so open that my mind's going to fall out, right? But I'm a hammock layer, and I'm a dog owner. They go out at night, and I'll sit in the gravity chair if I'm not feeling like I'm going to be able to get back out of the hammock, But I love to watch the sky. I am so drawn to Orion and the Pleiades. That's my constellation, and I miss it when it's not in my sky. And, and I celebrate when it comes back, because it's just like, yay. Here we go. So, but right now I've got the plow and some other stuff, so it's not nearly as fun.
But there's a lot of sightings going on, more than normal, a lot happening. And as you know, I took a little time off. I was having so many experiences that I just was like, I think I need to write this down and concentrate on this, take a little break from my show. And then, of course, it just did everything that it said it was going to do, as far as showing out and showing up, and a lot more is going to come out, and a lot more is going to be seen. And I find it really interesting. Like even on children's TV, I've noticed, being a writer, and I write children's stuff too, but to just see how shows made for kids, even very young toddlers, is all about, I'm like, are you kidding me? Because this never happened before. It's all about aliens and meeting the aliens and interacting with the aliens. And it's not just one program, it's a many. And they're bringing up, ghosts and spirits and stuff. And I thought, when my kids were young, these were not, this wasn't the topic.
Scooby-Doo was the only thing, right?
Right. And Scooby-Doo was, it just was a funny situation, but it's like they're teaching them, and I thought, what? This is, while some people would be like, this is inappropriate, I don't like that. The thing is, with so many things developing, I would rather have the children be exposed to the fact that something else possibly is out there, and not be a total shock to the system, have some reference for what possibly could be happening,
and the the entities that the children are being trained to not fear don't look like them.
Exactly.
They don't look. They're obviously not human.
Right. They're obviously extraterrestrial. Yeah. And I just find that kind of interesting. It's not, really anything grand. I just thought, wow, they're really amping that up recently. And as you said, we didn't get to talk about it. I don't know if you want to or not, but you were saying that, all the evidence and the people coming forward recently was pretty amazing.
It is. And, there's the fact that our military is talking about it is indicative that they can't stop it.
Correct.
And that they know that there's going to be something that they're going to have to be explaining if they're not already letting us have some heads up.
Mm-hmm.
You can't very well have them on the White House lawn saying, hey, we were talking to y'all last week and y'all knew we were coming,
right.
And the American people or the people wherever not having a clue that any of this was going on, because, you can't always trust people that control the situation to really give a rat's butt about your opinion about the situation.
Mm-hmm. No,
if they
correct.
want us to know, they're going to tell us.
Right.
The aliens, not the military.
Right. Well, if you remember, Kat, we were both at a UFO conference 4 years ago. Do you remember that?
I do.
And back then, this was a big conference. Back then, it was a big deal because at that time, it was just making progress to where people could come forward. Nowhere like today. I mean, a lot's happened in 4 years, but it was a big breakthrough at the time. And we were all so surprised, like, wow, finally, they can't lose their job or this or that. But it has come, gosh, guys, I can't tell you how full force forward it has come from that 4 years ago to now, because that was breaking news when we were at the conference. And so, this all coming up, breaking news, boy, it's night and day. I mean, it's really extraordinary and wonderful, because here's the thing, whether you believe it or not, that's understandable. I've eaten so much crow in my life over things that I did or didn't believe. I have gotten to the point now where I'm tired of spitting feathers. I just let everybody say whatever they want to say, whether I have had the experience of it or not. That doesn't mean that it's not real. It doesn't mean anything. And, my opinion doesn't mean anything. So it's just keep an open mind. If you're not convinced, that's okay. And that's actually good. Always ask questions, always be curious, and seek out your own information. The thing is, the more you dig recently, since they've been able to put this all out, the more you're going to find to make you go, perhaps so.
Well, I'll tell you, ever since, and for people that don't know, Bob Lazar is the man that said that he worked at Area 51 making craft for us by back engineering the captured craft. Mm-hmm. Well, now this gentleman has come forward and nobody's really giving him flack about you're crazy. This gentleman has come forward and said, yes, we do have, captured downed and crashed craft, and we have pilots. He didn't say we have all dead pilots.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. This is where the information is like, well, we didn't say we didn't have them. We just didn't say we did.
Well, I mean, he didn't say that they were all dead.
That's right. Yeah.
And, I have a former guest who was on with me who is an abductee. Well, she doesn't consider herself an abductee. She is an experiencer. She has been going with the people that she relates with since she was a child. And because of the relationship, they asked what she wanted to do. Why, since she was coming with them all the time, what do you want to do while you're here? And she was like, I want to fly this thing. So they taught her to fly it.
Wow.
And, this is according to her, but there's a great book and it's called Synchronicity. And it's by Preston Scott. I hope I got that right. He's a wonderful man. I don't want to to not respect him with that. But it's a fantastic book, and it's about her.
Mm-hmm.
And when she was on with me, she said, if you're seeing anything right now, it's ours. Because what we have, we use the magnetic field, and we can't because the magnetic field is shifting right now. So it's not safe for us to come in.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
that's so interesting, because not long ago they, were talking about the core, the Earth's core started to spin the other direction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in reverse. So that's really interesting.
And I heard about that about 2 weeks after I spoke with her.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was really interesting. So
everything ties in. You hear one thing,
it does.
Another thing,
It does. And I firmly believe that they had to do something before they did land on the White House lawn. They've already flown around the freaking White House, and nobody believes in them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
right.
They scrambled. With those. And that was
showing up all across the world, in ways that you just can't write everything off. Not everything can be broad stroked off as rubbish, right? There's not everything. And, speaking of experiencers, just really quick, because I know we're on our last half hour. If you remember, there was quite a beautiful film, and I wish we'll have to put it up. I can't remember the name right now. It's terrible. But there were experiencers, women who felt, and I met several, but I've known one personally and have known them for quite some time. And they're not a fantastical person, they're very down to earth. And actually there's nothing to be gained from telling their story. Other than ridicule and questioning and this and that. Many people, of course, believe it, but they're not doing any of this for attention. But they had the experience where they felt that they were impregnated.
Yeah.
And then before, once the child was older, I think it was around 6 months, they were then brought back. This is their story. And the child was taken from them, which is very traumatic. Now, the thing that I find really interesting to back up their story, I believe them anyway, but if somebody needed proof, they had scans from, just going to the doctor as you get your scans through your pregnancy, right?
Right.
And then when they go back and say, my God, something's happened, the doctor took another scan and said, oh, well, gosh, the baby was there before. The baby's not there now. Well, babies absorb. Animals do this. This is just a thing. But I thought, and I'm sorry, I'm a bit ignorant on this, but I thought that certainly does happen, can happen, but I thought it was much earlier on. I didn't think something that well formed could do that, right? So
I have never heard or known anyone that happened with.
Yeah. And so they have.
But I do know women who had their children taken.
Yes. And so what a horrible loss and endless ache of that. And yet then some, as you know, have been able to see them again.
Yes.
They get to, they let them meet the child. And, that kind of ties in the reason if everybody's like, where are they going with this? We were talking about souls. And that's one question that comes up is, what about a soul? I mean, what is this or that? I personally think they all have a soul. I do. I don't think anything's soulless or half a soul or any of that. I mean, I do. I think they have a soul. Not that that's here or there. But to answer the question that people ask a lot is, do animals have a soul? I believe they do. Yes,
I do.
And do people, and do hybrids or something that is a mix? And I don't think it's just because it's half human that it has a soul. I think that it is the animating force within that that entity's life that I believe it's a soul or something like that maybe there's some configuration of that we don't fully understand or have the verbiage for. But
I think consciousness is created because of a soul.
Mm-hmm.
If something has a consciousness, then I believe that it has a soul.
I agree with you. So my answer to that question, when people are like, well, what is this or what is that? I think, gosh, again, it's all going to go back to love. And just where we were saying, scientists were saying, well, our world is this big, or what? Oh, wait, gosh, there's a whole nother galaxy. Well, it's that big and that's it. Oh, wait, there's so many galaxies opening up beyond that. We don't have all the answers at all. And while we make great strides, it just keep learning. We just keep growing. And
we keep getting taught.
We keep getting taught. That's true.
I mean, we keep getting put in our place.
Yeah.
And, one of my friends, Mark D'Antonio, wrote this great book about exoplanets. He's an astronomer. Well, they just keep showing up. I mean, the expanding universe is a real thing. And he's probably not going to, I probably didn't mention his book in the way that he meant it to be mentioned. But it's so educational because you think that what you see, is what we have. Well, no.
So much.
See that far.
Yeah.
And, even
we don't even know the depths of the ocean. We know more. We don't know. We know very little about what's beneath us.
Or above us. Yeah.
Or above us. Yeah.
But the thing that gets me is about the under us.
Yeah, the under us. And listen, I do believe that there are extraterrestrials that are in the depths of the ocean as well as
they
on
call
Earth.
them fast movers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or maybe it is. They have a name for them.
Yes, because they're in such touch with them. And the different types of extraterrestrials that have been seen by experiencers are now being, talked about. And, people coming out and saying in the military and different stuff, well, we saw this. We didn't know what to think about that, but they look like this. And I just think it's a beautiful time to be alive. I know that there's lots of things that are hard in the world, but at the same time, we're at a time when anytime there's all this change and it's a fascinating time. But I just personally think that whether anything, just like you said, any entity like that with a consciousness, I do believe they have a soul. And the one thing, also that happened, they just had creation of these synthetic babies. They're synthetic, that were created. But here's the thing, people will, well, they shouldn't do that. They're soulless. I don't think that at all. In fact, it hurts my heart to think that people think of that. Now, whether they didn't have a brain or a heart, but if they had let them, or if they had done the experiment in a different way, then they could have, there's a lot to that we don't have time to talk about. But do I think something that is created would have a consciousness, would have a soul? I do. Well,
I don't think that we are nearly the masters of our own destiny that we like to think that we are. And I do think that there is a greater consciousness that, no matter what name you want to apply, there are several. And I think that it would be I always get so exasperated. How presumptuous is it to think that we're the only experiment in the ant farm?
Right. And that they're not using your hands to further the experiment, right?
Sure. So, I do think that we are all responsible for our own decisions and we affect our own destiny. I do think that we're put in situations where we have to make choices, and those choices have consequences. And, that's where you get into the whole existential kind of thing, I think. But I do believe that, I really like the end of the Men in Black movie where it's a marble in a kid's bag of marbles.
In his game, yeah.
And so this is our universe. This is our world. And, quoting Gilda Radner, this is my room and this is my house and this is my universe. Yes, it is. But you're not the only game in town.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And I would say to people, sure. I mean, we don't know. Do I think that they're all friendly? No, I don't. And from the
we're not all friendly.
I've had, we're not all friendly. That's for sure. But I think that what has presented itself, at least to me, is the things that we're going to be shown, I think most currently, will be. It's still going to be a great shock. And the crafts are really interesting that I've seen. They're really, really interesting in the way that they then, once they sort of land or they're in the atmosphere, see them, the way they configure out to other things. It's real. I've never seen anything like it, even on television. So I always try to make a little sketch or whatever. But
I've not seen one on the ground. Everything I see is in the air. And
yeah, this was in the air, but stationary, if you will, and then opening up.
Oh, see, I haven't gotten that. You should tell them to show me that.
Yeah, well, okay, Kat. Be careful what you ask for, but okay, show Kat.
I mean, I'm so fascinated by this. This is, I'm a ghost hunter. That's how I got into investigating and learning about anomalous things, because I know before I ever had my first piece of equipment, I know what's there. Right. I don't see very often because I choose not to, and that is a choice you can make. But because I really don't ever want to see anyone in their death state. That's a choice that I made, and that's a request I made.
I'm so glad I don't, and our friend Mark Fultz does. I know.
He sees everything.
Yeah, he sees it all, but he actually wants to. So
I know.
That's up to him.
And he copes with it very well.
He does. Yeah. Yeah.
So he's going to come and help me with the house in Pensacola that I'm going to be investigating.
Well, he's the best to do it.
I think so too. If I'm going in.
That's going to, you'll have to keep me posted on that.
I will. I've got to get back from Nevada, and then I'm going to spend some time up here with the beasties and the grands, and then I'm going to go down and take care of business both at the house and the haunted house. So that'll be good. So tell me what you're doing, because we don't have much time left. I want people to know where they can find you, where they can catch up with your books.
Well, if you go to Teal Gray books on Amazon, or look one up and they'll all pop up. Shades of Angels, Haunted Denton, I did through the History Press, Arcadia Press. So that's a little different. It is for sale on Amazon. But if you look up Haunted Hill House, Darkness Resides in Texas, they'll all pop up. And I did that book particularly in 3 different languages, so you can find me there. Kat has let me come home again, and I'm going to start up my paramystery show, which I've been doing for years. I'm going to start that back up Monday, August 7th at 8 p.m. So that'll be a weekly thing. I hope everybody tunes in, and I'd be so curious to find out from our listeners tonight how many people have experienced a UFO or anything like that. And that's one thing I would love to make part of the show, is like, if they have any questions, ask, and then the next week we can answer them on air.
Well, I think that would be fantastic. And I do want to tell everyone, Teal does not push any of her books, but they're all great. But something that she has that I have found personally helpful is it's called Your 52 Opportunities Blessed Life Workbook. And it is something that when I first got it, I was like, okay. And I know that everything else that she writes is about different things. This is something that you need to have in your life. And you can get it at, like she said, Amazon.com. It's under Teal L Gray. And she is great. I mean, she's got Haunted Denton, Spirited Tales, Scared Senseless, The Field Guide to the Other Side. She's got all these books, but this workbook made my life better.
Oh, so much. And I would say, as a little tip, I really felt the need to put it out in color in the book form, but you can get it for a fraction of that price. If you do it as an ebook, print it out, because I even say in the book, look, print out these worksheets and you can just use them for years to come. You don't have to keep buying, different forms. Just their work, you put the date on it, you use them. But it helps you to dig a little deep and clear out some things that may be holding you back that you don't even know that were there. And I do put personal examples in there for what I found and things that I didn't even realize, working on my echo art therapy degree, some things they would have you do, I'd think, what on earth is this going to have to do with anything? And then, of course, in a few minutes, I'm eating crow feathers and finding this really changing experience, so I'm so glad that helped you. And I'm blessed. A lot of people have said that book is, out of all the other ones that are entertaining for one reason or another, that one has actually been life-changing for them. So I'm greatly honored by that. Thank you, Kat.
Well, call them as I see them. You know that. And excuse me. I want to thank everybody so much, whether you are listening in real time here, or if you're listening via rebroadcast podcast format. We appreciate every one of you, because I love what I do. I love being able to bring people like Teal to you. There's so much information out there, and there's so many things that are changing quickly, that I think it's important that we have these conversations. And usually, like this one, they go off the rails and go in different directions, and that's because we're free flow. Things happen the way they're supposed to. But we so appreciate you being here. And you know what? I will see you next week. Same cat time, same cat channel. I'll be traveling this week, so Wednesday night show is going to be a surprise for all of us. So just hang with me, roll with that. We're going to have the best time. But thanks again. And you are listening. I'm so excited to be part of the Unexplained Network here on KUNX Digital Broadcasting. I love being part of the X family. And y'all are so fortunate, because coming right up is going to be the Cryptid Creatures podcast. I love cryptids. Y'all have fun with that. And you know what? Have a great week. Be the best you can be, and that's all anybody wants, especially you. Enjoy yourself.